Hi guys, Robert here. Uh, Wanted to go ahead and rig something up for tomorrow. Hopefully I will get to go out. Uh, Everybody's sleeping now, so I've got some time to myself. And I thought I'd kind of share with you how I'm going to rig up one of the things I'm going to fish with tomorrow, which is what is commonly known as a punch rig. I like to call it a weedless jig. I have lost probably 10 or 15 jigs since I've been fishing with those. I love them, but I get tired of having to go back to the store and buy new ones or try to straighten the hooks out on the ones that I have sort of straightened out. It's not a good idea, by the way, maybe once, but if it gets bent twice, then I would use it for practice, say pitching. Uh, but anyway, so I've already gone ahead and re-spooled some 30-pound braid on my backup rod. It's not my main jig rod. It's a medium heavy. It's got a little bit more action. Still got a nice fast tip on it though, so I can still feel everything. And to start with, what I'm going to use, and I don't like tungsten weights, they're just too expensive. I can't see spending 6 or 8, whatever it is, on 2 weights. I lose too much stuff to do that. So I've found some colored bullet sinkers at Academy. Bought the family sized pack. Now what I've done, I've already done it on this weight, but normally these weights have some irregular holes, small, plugged up, and what I do is I'll take my hook and gently push it down into the top hole and just kind of turn it and pull down a little bit just to widen that hole out. You may end up with a little bit of a sharp edge, but it's easy to just rub it on the sidewalk or wherever just to get that sharp edge off. But it lets me peg my weight a little easier, which I'll show you in a minute. So of course I'm going to go ahead and thread the weight, and I played with the idea of putting some beads in between the weight and the punch skirt, but I'm almost tempted to just leave them off. I have fished with some jigs that had the little noisemakers on them and never have seen to do any well on them. The jigs I have caught fish on did not have them, so I am thinking that, as good as it may sound, it probably spooks the fish a little bit too much, and they are very spooky this time of year. I can see them patrolling up and down the bank, and anytime I try to flip to one of them, they're gone. So they're very skittish. So I think the quieter everything can be, the better. So once you've got your weight on, you're going to want to put on your punch skirt. Punch skirt is basically a skirt that's not attached to anything. It's just got a little insert, and go ahead and thread that through. Try to get it through the hole there. Go ahead and thread that through, and I'm going to peg that too in a little bit. But for the moment, we'll go on to the hook. And of course, you can tie any knot that you want. And I use braid again. So the knot that I have found that works the best is Palomar. Basically what you do is you double up your line. You can see those 2 strands. Leave about 6 inches doubled up. Go ahead and thread that through the hook, and I'm using an offset wide gap. I don't think it's an extra wide gap, but it is a wide gap. I seem to have better luck on my hook sets with these. But this one has a little keeper on the end. There it is. Basically, it's just a little thing that sticks out when you thread your plastic on. It keeps it from pulling down, which is really annoying. Anyway, go ahead, thread the hook, pull it through, holding on to both double strands, tie a square knot, pull that loop through the other loop. At this point, leave it a little bit slack. Go ahead and put some spit on it. Get it wet. And then the next step is to take this loop, pass it over the hook, right on through to the other side. And what you're left is a loop and with the tag in through it. I go ahead and just pull on that tag in real slow. Get it down to the end where it's almost cinched. A little more spit. And then I'll take the tag in my mouth, cinch it up, pull 3 ways, 1, 2, 3. So I'm confident there's no slack in that knot. Then I'll go ahead, snip off my tag in, and I usually leave about 1/4 inch, just because you never know. My scissors are dull, so it leaves this funky frayed end, but that gets hidden anyway. Now you have to make the decision what to put on the end of it. In this case, I want to keep all the colors consistent, and I'm going with red. This time of year, red normally isn't good. If you know anything about crawfish, normally crawfish in the wintertime are going to be more greenish yellow than they are red, which is what you see in your plate if you've ever eaten broiled crawfish. Well, you throw those in hot water. Basically, when the water warms up over the year, over the spring and the summer, crawfish get darker. By the hot summertime, they're dark red. If you've ever seen the remnants of a crawfish on the bank after a critter has eaten it, you'll notice in the summertime everything's red. So in my little bank that I fish, I stumbled across that and thought, well, there you go. This time of year, that's the color I need to use. That's what they're eating. That's what something's eating. Bass eat crawfish. Crawfish are red. So, that being said, we'll go ahead and put this one on the hook. I go ahead and bury my barb into the very center. Try to be very careful and keep this part straight up to almost to the bend. Pull it through and work it on up. As soon as it hops over that nub, I'll twist this around, line out of the way, twist this around, and then thread it all the way up. And I like to thread mine all the way up past the eye. There. Alright. So, next thing is to bury the hook. I like to do what's called text posing, so I'll go ahead and figure out where my hook is going to pass through. Put it through at that point and bend your bait over. Put it through. Pull the hook all the way through, and it'll be sticking out a little bit. And then the text posing part is you just pull it up a little bit, push the bait up over the barb of the hook, pull back down. What you're left with is that barb barely stick it into the bait, which will still allow you a nice hook set. Now what you're left with something that looks like that. Nice bouncy skirt and little tentacles and some paddles, which hopefully will entice a hungry bass. Now the part about pegging those weights in the skirt, these little guys, it's a little like rubber nail looking thing you can buy them in a package at Academy, yeah. Basically all you got to do is thread it through your weight, till it comes out the other side. Go ahead, pull it on through. I like to pull it all the way through till that little flat end disappears. Pull it all the way tight, and then you just have to snip off the front end. I like to pull my line tight down over the weight so I don't snip it off. Snip it as close as you can without snipping your line, which is really annoying because then you have to retie the whole thing. So I leave it up here for now. Then I will go ahead and peg my skirt, and I usually try and just use what's left over because it doesn't take as much to hold this skirt. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking probably won't do that, but you can. You just pull it through the same way, snip it off as close as you can. Will keep your skirt from sliding up and down, but I'm going to leave a little bit of play, probably about a half an inch between the skirt. Maybe not a half an inch, maybe about a quarter of an inch. So I'll pull my weight down to about right there, so that skirt will move up and down, and that does actually give it a little bit of a clicking sound, kind of built in. Shake that out. So there you go. Weedless punch rig, weedless jig. Go through anything. Won't get hung up as you're pulling it through cover. Now if you hang a fish and he throws the hook, then it's possible you might get hung. But instead of losing a $3 or $4 jig, you're only going to lose a hook and a weight, possibly the rest of your rig, but still not going to be as expensive as losing a nice jig. And you won't have to, if you don't lose the jig, then you have a bent hook. So anyway, there's your basic weedless jig, and I hope that this was informative to you guys. Again, I hope that I get to go out tomorrow. I did some honeydews today, so I think I've earned it. I hope that you guys get to go out again, or get to go out tomorrow as well. I hope you catch some nice ones, and I hope I see you out on the water. If you do see me, come say hi. See you in the water.